It's time for the scientific method, ladies and gentlemen, so get those notepads out. One of the realest in the game. What's good, good brother?
I mean, that's game recognized game. So we all know, everybody's listening to this show, watching this show, everybody knows how Will Steele gets down. So,
thank you, man.
You know, from one of the realists to one of the realists, much appreciated, my brother. How's it going over there?
Well, very well. I was just talking to the folks about how we're in this weird situation between Giants, Panthers, but the Cowboys can't look at the Panthers like week 3. So got to handle business. So we're going to talk about how the Cowboys can handle that business, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to the Panthers, I know everybody, their eyes go to the record 1-8, and I get that. I 100% get that. Like Bill Parcells said, you are what your record says you are. But I would also add that while that's true, we say it every week, you don't overlook teams. Those other teams get paid to play as well, and we all know that when it comes to playing the Cowboys, this is a lot of teams' Super Bowl, and this is going to be the Super Bowl for the Carolina Panthers because they are 1-8. And they're trying to give their fans something to cheer about. And the Cowboys are on the road, and the Cowboys haven't played exceedingly well on the road this year. They're absolutely blowing the doors off of teams that come to AT&T Stadium, but when they get out on the road, it's kind of a mixed bag. So not only do they need to start stringing wins together during this stretch before they rematch with the Philadelphia Eagles, but they need to go ahead and get this one road game that's in this 5-game stretch to kind of keep that rolling along. So, yeah, don't sleep on the Panthers. I mean, their offense is in shambles, absolutely, but their defense is one of the more respectable ones in the league.
Yep, we're going to break all that down a little bit later, Pat, but let's talk about some of the players that potentially will be available for the Panthers. Can you give us an update on the injured guys? We kind of briefly spoke on some, but can you go a little bit more detail on the injury report from yesterday?
Yeah, a couple of headlines. First of all, the most notable is who's not on the injury report. That's Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith, past couple of weeks or so, has, for the most part, been relegated to walkthroughs and mock games only. And in the last 2 games since his return from that neck stinger, he's looked like prime Tyron Smith. Like you call him still Tron. Tron is back to the point where the Cowboys haven't even put him on the injury report. So if that continues, knock on wood, because this is Thursday, right?
Yeah.
This is Terror Thursday in Dallas. So as long as there are no setbacks or no additional things that pop up with Tyron Smith, he will actually be 100% healthy going into this matchup with the Panthers, and that's just fantastic news. Peyton Hendershot, he returned to practice on yesterday, and his 21-day practice window has opened from IR. For those that don't understand, he's now allowed to fully practice with the team. He was a full participant effective yesterday, but the Cowboys have a decision to make if they push that 21 days out. So he can practice for the next 21 days. Then if he's good enough to go, he has to be added to the active roster. If he's not good enough to go, he has to be put on season-ending injured reserve. So the fact that he was a full participant yesterday, that's good news as far as him training to be back fairly quickly. I mean, I wonder if he'll be back for the Panthers game. We'll see how this week goes. If so, then how does that, work out with like Sean McEwen, who might go back to the practice squad? We'll see. Junior Fehoko, knee injury, full participant. Rico Dowdle popped up on the injury report. Ankle injury, but full participant. No concerns there. Jordan Lewis, neck, full participant. Osa, hamstring from last week, still dealing with it, but he's not limited anymore. He's back to full. Jalen Tolbert has a knee injury from Sunday, full participant. And Kevontae Turpin, another headliner. He missed last week's game against the Giants because of that shoulder/rib situation. He's a full participant as well. So this will all ramp up on Thursday, though, because today is going to be the full practice for everybody. So keep an eye on the injury report at the end of today. But as it stands, it's looking like great news for everyone, unfortunately, except for Leighton Vander Esch.
Yeah, that's the one, man. And I caught a couple of the interviews yesterday, and you can kind of tell it was sombering news to the players. And like I was saying in the opening here, I don't think it was just about on the field. I think they are understanding what this injury could mean, period, for Leighton Vander Esch. You want to go in a little bit more detail on how everybody's feeling down there in the Star about Leighton potentially being out, or not potentially, out for the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's a somber mood. It's a somber conversation to have with any of the players. I mean, even a guy like Rashaan Evans, who just arrived not a month ago, the impact that LVE has had on him already has him kind of lamenting the loss as well. because he understands just, what type of competitor Leighton Vander Esch is. And, that permeates throughout the locker room. Talk about guys like Damone Clark, who Leighton Vander Esch took under his wing when Damone had the spinal fusion surgery in his neck. So a similar injury that almost turned Damone's rookie season into a redshirt season. Who was the first one to reach out to him after the pick was made in April? It was Leighton Vander Esch. Who was the one who was inviting Damone to his house to kind of watch film and get the rookie acclimated? It was Leighton Vander Esch. So those types of things, helping Marquise Bell transition to linebacker. I mean, for as many roses, rightfully so, as we give Dan Quinn and the coaching staff and the linebackers coach, Leighton Vander Esch has been, almost as much as the linebackers coach as well. So he's a mentor off the field in the locker room, and of course we know what he was doing on the field. And despite the narratives to the contrary, Leighton Vander Esch was absolutely one of the best players for the Cowboys defense. And if not for Marquise Bell excelling, the Cowboys would figure out real fast just how valuable he was. Hell, they found out last December when he was out for 2 or 3 games, and that run defense kind of took a dive without Leighton Vander Esch and Jonathan Hankins. So, but now the question becomes, does Vander Esch ever suit up again in the NFL? So that's a decision that he's going to have to make, what's, one that's best for him and his family. But I will say absolutely it is and has been and will continue to be a pleasure to be around this guy. He stays in the locker room still, coaching up guys. And, I just want him to do the right thing. This is not his first or second or third or even, I think it's his 4th issue with his neck. So at a certain point, you just got to do the right thing, man. So, I'm hinting at what I'm hinting at, but he's a grown man. He's going to have to make that decision. But do the right thing, brother.
Do the right thing like Spike. Hey, Rashaan Evans, he got called up for the 3rd time, and it's clear, right, that he's going to be a part of this team. And I just was thinking about how are they going to make that decision happen? They're going to have to cut somebody, correct?
Yeah, so the practice squad rules have been updated a little bit. Not so long ago, it was once the player maxed out at 3, you had to make a decision to either carry them on the active roster and then release somebody as a corresponding move if you didn't have that spot vacant, or you would have to waive them, subject them to waivers after the trade deadline, which is where everybody, even the vested veterans, are subjected to waiver claim and then hope that they clear and then get them back on the practice squad. But not the case anymore. So he's maxed out at 3, so he's going to be carried on the practice squad going forward. The clock doesn't reset again until the playoffs for that 3-time elevation. So if they want him to play another game this regular season, they got to sign him to the active roster. Corresponding move, that's where it gets kind of not dicey, but the question is, who would that be? And I look at a guy like Tyron Smith. You are log jammed on that defensive line, and at the time Tyron Smith was signed to the active roster, it made sense, but now it makes more sense to have Rashaan Evans there, knowing that you're not going to have Leighton Vander Esch returning, and you need that linebacker depth. You absolutely need it. So I think Tyron Smith is a guy to keep an eye on. Maybe Noah Igbenogany, but I think the Cowboys need him for veteran depth at cornerback. So Wheat would make more sense to me. But, of course, if he's waived and clears waivers, they'd love to have him back on the practice squad. But we'll see what that move is, and we'll see how soon they make it as far as Evans is concerned.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I was also thinking about, Peyton Hendershot also would have to, take somebody off the roster. But so
he needs the spot, too.
Yep. It's two players. It'll be interesting to see over the next couple of days what they decide to do. I wanted to get your opinion on the good stuff that's happening with the Cowboys right now offensively, which looks like a complete 180 from a philosophical standpoint from the first 5 weeks of the season to now. And I've listened to you personally through on .com with the podcast. I've read your articles, so I kind of have an idea, but I don't know if others do. So I wanted to give them a chance to hear your take on the offense.
They better catch up. They better catch up with Steele. They better catch up. Get on the science. It ain't out there for nothing.
Come on, man. Look, if they missed the science, though, about this offense, I want you to let us know, what do you think right now is the catalyst or reason or what have you behind the offensive success or offensive shift since week 5?
Well, I think it's several things, but the top 2 things that pop up in my mind is, one, something that you and I and Vach and a lot of our very intelligent football IQ heads have been talking about for weeks before it actually happened, is We wanted to see Dak use his legs as a weapon. We wanted to see him use that to create a different or an added threat that the opposing defense has to account for, and that will probably help spark the offense moving along. We finally saw it against the Los Angeles Chargers. They only won 20-17. However, they don't win that game at all if Dak Prescott isn't using his legs. I think that sparked, obviously, when you look at what CeeDee Lamb has been doing ever since, it sparked CeeDee Lamb in addition to the frustration he had coming out of that 49ers game. So now you look at Mike McCarthy looking at it and saying, you know what, you're right, CeeDee. You are one of arguably the best wide receiver in the league, and we have to find ways to get you the ball. We have to scheme you open. So combination of those things, and part of scheming CeeDee Lamb open goes to pre-snap motion and the misdirection that has been occurring at a high rate for the Cowboys. They were up and down with it to start the season. Over the first 4 games, they kind of dipped their toe in the pool and they pulled back. They dipped their toe in the pool and they pulled back. But against the 49ers, they had a season low in pre-snap motion. Meanwhile, the 49ers had a season high in pre-snap motion. And how'd that game end up again? All righty. So I think the 49ers made McCarthy and Schottenheimer take a long, hard look in the mirror and say, you know what, we have the personnel to do what they just did to us. Why can't we do to other teams what they just did to our arguably number one defense in the league? And during the bye week, they went in, hit the reset button, and ever since, they've just been firing on all cylinders, and it's been ramping up more and more each week. And even though, I mean, they could be 4-0 if not for the game of Vengeance in Philadelphia, but even look at that game. Over 370 passing yards for Dak Prescott, used his legs. Pre-snap motion was a thing. They really put the Eagles' defense on their heels. And that tells me that this Cowboys offense, if you didn't know it before, Brandon Cooks went off for 173, while CeeDee Lamb hit 151, while Jake Ferguson got his tutty, while Michael Gallup and Jalen Tolbert and Jalen Brooks were in. I mean, if that doesn't tell you that this team is firing on all cylinders, I don't know what will.
I think the Brandon Cooks, getting him going was the last Infinity Stone. And I know they were attempting to. Right, they were fighting with Thanos to get that Infinity Stone.
The reality stone.
Yeah. It wasn't until it wasn't until Infinity Wars or whatever, right, where they got it, and that happened last week. And that's the last one, though. Seriously, though, Pat. Like, if you can put that on tape, that not only is Cooks he's not gonna just get 4 receptions for 40 yards and a touchdown, but he has a chance to go for $150 if you don't pay attention to him. That just makes, in my opinion, this passing offense really tough to deal with, especially if a Turpin is back healthy, because they have a very unique, versatile room.
Yeah, 100% correct there. And if you think about it, I mean, they acquired the Soul Stone by releasing Ezekiel Elliott. So soul for a soul, right? You get Brandon Cooks. And the last thing to do was come to terms with reality. And here we are with the reality stone. And the reality is there was no reason why both CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks could not eat heartily on a week-to-week basis. And now they finally put that reality stone, that final stone in the gauntlet, with Brandon Cooks just absolutely having his coming out party. And now there's no reason and no excuse, I should say, both actually, no reason nor any excuse for this not to continue. Now, do I expect that both will, contribute for a combined 320-plus yards together every single game? That's not what I expect. No. Would I love it? Oh, you better believe it. But what I do expect is that this tandem of playing off of each other, establishing CeeDee Lamb early, forcing the defenses to kind of shade toward him, and then that opens up Brandon Cooks and of course, Jake Ferguson in the middle, who's also having a breakout season. And then that forces the defense back to playing true and playing honest. And now you're playing man-on-man coverage, and you better have the horses to match up against these horses in Dallas, because if you don't, in a straight-up situation, on a one-on-one situation, you're toast. Now, also to that, Steele, let's add the fact that, Dak Prescott was kind of up and down when it came to playing against man coverage, and that's something that the 49ers exploited as well. In switching from zone to man, they knew that he was lethal against zone, he and CeeDee Lamb, but they switched to man, and it really disrupted everything. Went into the lab on the bye week, came back out, and now Dak Prescott, his quarterback rating is over 130 over the past 4 games against man coverage. 6 touchdowns, 6 passing touchdowns to only 1 interception, which is also 6 passing touchdowns to only 1 interception against zone coverage. So Dak Prescott is basically saying, I get it now. Pick your poison. And then he's looking at his weapons and saying, you want Lamb or you want it from Cooks? Pick your poison. Oh, you chose one or the other. Well, here's some Jake Ferguson for you. Eat up. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, now they're trying to cover Jake. Let's give you a little bit of Tony and Rico. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, this offense is coming together and at a perfect time, and that includes the offensive line being healthy and finally getting the continuity that we've been hoping for.
Bars. Hey, appreciate you coming through as always, Pat, man. This is amazing stuff you give us each week. But what you also do on this same day is you drop your Science Lab article. And if you guys are not tuned into that, you're missing out. But can you give us a little tease on what you got going here at the top of the hour?
Yeah, kind of segued it a little bit, drop some breadcrumbs for y'all. The Science Lab drops on DallasCowboys.com approximately 10 a.m., no later than 11 a.m. Central Time. And this week is about pre-snap motion and just how much it has affected the Cowboys lose and win over these past 9 games. And you're going to be absolutely stunned to see just how deep in his pre-snap motion bag Mike McCarthy and his analytics team have gotten. And then you're going to see in this week's Science Lab exactly how that correlates with the success that Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb are having with the numbers to back it up. So make sure y'all jump into that because Big Mike is getting real freaky and Dirty Dak is here to stay.
Dirty Dak. I love it, man. That is Patrik No Skywalker of DallasCowboys.com. Thank you, good brother.
All right, talk to you soon, brother.
Salute. Tell you, man, you got to be here each and every Thursday. This man drops the science for you. And then he drops the science later on via the article. So if you missed it, all good. We'll drop this thing again, probably on Saturday. We always roll it out Saturday. Try to give y'all content Monday through Sunday, right, in different ways. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and make sure to follow and subscribe to A to Z Dallas so you don't miss an episode of The Scientific Method. Every Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Central on Facebook and YouTube, with every episode available on A to Z Sports.com.